the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Hey, check out my new tag team, baby, Monty and the Pharaoh.
Hey, Jimmy, don't forget to tell them about Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Well, you know what, I would, but you already did it.
It's Monty and the Pharaoh.
The Monty and Pharaoh Show.
Monty Pharaoh, bro.
Monty and the Pharaoh. The Monty and the Pharaoh.
You've got the future Hall of Famers at Rucker, Marty Jannetty, and MJ in the house, and I'm sitting here with two more future Hall of Famers, Monty and the Pharaoh. We're doing that stuff and we gonna rock it.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
It's Monty and the Pharaoh.
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 And Monty and the Pharaoh. Oh, is it Monty and the Pharaoh?
With Monty and the Pharaoh. Monty and the Pharaoh. Oh, what a run.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Monty and the Pharaoh.
Hey, cut music. When you want the best in professional wrestling, Long Island, there's only one place you're going to get it, right here.
Monty and the Pharaoh. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best. That, my friends, is just incredible.
Monty and the Pharaoh. Duh.
How about Masked Superstar versus Axe? Did you ever try to do that?
Well, that son of a gun owes me money.
Welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, seen only here out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York.
The multiple-time WWF Tag Team Champions, and in my opinion, the greatest WWF Tag Team Champions, including /WWE Tag Team Champions in the history of this business, Axe and Smash, Demolition.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you.
Hey, Jimmy, I guess we gotta like you, don't we? You like us. We love it.
I'm trying.
Thank you.
I'm trying. So far, so good.
We appreciate it.
Thank
you. And then
you,
all
guys.
the fans, too, in the audience. There's a
Thank
bunch
you.
of those. Thank you, guys.
So you have some questions about Marty Jannetty you'd like to ask Monty and the Pharaoh about?
Oh,
let's
boy.
talk about it a little
Yeah,
bit.
I wanted to, what's the heck's the latest story on him? I saw where I live in Georgia, and Marty's from Georgia, in Columbus. And
Right.
evidently confessed to some major crime, is that right?
Well, there's a couple things to peel back, right? So first, one of the big Marty things was that he wanted to have sex with his daughter.
Oh, God.
You heard that one, right?
No.
Oh, okay. So I'll tell you about that.
That's a major crime, too.
Yes, it sure is.
Where does all this come out? How did that come out? We love Marty.
Marty
He's a
likes
great
to put
guy,
stuff
but-
on Facebook and they go, oops.
Oh, jeez.
Marty claims that this really didn't happen. It was a work for a wrestling story. What wrestling story, I don't know.
Oh, my God.
But then he went on to say on the show, say it was a wrestling story. Do you know that when you burn a body, bones don't burn? So I didn't know whether he was saying it was make-believe or it was real. But he pretty much confessed on the show that he murdered this guy.
Wow.
Now, you guys worked with Marty for a long time.
I've heard some dumb stories.
Yeah, right?
By some very, very dumb people. But that tops the list. I'm not saying he's dumb,
Not
but
quite.
that tops the list.
But let me ask you this. Has Marty always been like this?
Marty's a really good guy from how I know. I haven't seen him for a long time.
Marty's had a lot of demons in his past.
But he's just he's a nice guy. I've never had any bad things to say
But
about
I mean,
Marty.
did he have... Look, it's obviously... Look, Marty's been on the show a few times, and he's really a great person. He's a really good human being. Cool. But Marty, our first event with Marty, when you asked how long we've been doing this, we brought Marty in, and he was so stoned out of his mind, we couldn't even do a show.
No, don't put pot down like that. He was coked out of his mind. There's a difference.
Okay.
He wasn't stoned.
So anyway, he couldn't...
He would have
like you're
behaved
interviewing.
himself if he was stoned.
It was a very incoherent interview.
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
And he came back and so look, to be honest with you, we took some liberties. I was pretty pissed off about it, right?
Well,
so
we paid him for his service, and he screwed us. So we basically spent the next.
We were having
months,
like a radio show and then a signing, right? So,
yeah.
I kind of had it, and then he punched me in the face. And then we made up.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
So
yeah, we made up like.
And then we had him back, and then he told this story, and that's where we're at.
He punched you in the face, and then you had him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, we're
I
different.
can handle it.
Yeah, he was fine. Now, you're his neighbor. How come you haven't stopped by and been like?
No, he's about 110 miles away from me.
Okay.
And I only travel about 80 miles.
You know, Axe punched me in the nose, and I punched him back, and then he punched me back, and I punched him back.
Which is one of the greatest moments in wrestling history, by the way. You know, now that you mention it.
And then we both look for the Giant.
Still hurts from that.
We both look for the Giant to come in.
Yeah, we were begging for the Giant to come in.
Stop the abuse, Trey. Where's Andre?
You know, I want to talk about one sad part. Recently, we lost Road Warrior Animal.
Oh my goodness!
Unbelievable.
You guys maybe talk about it?
Yeah, such a shock. I mean, over the years, we've lost so many of our good friends, and we've lost a lot of the wrestlers that weren't really close to us, and it's sad. But we were talking over the weekend because it's the first time Barry and I had seen each other for probably a month or so, right?
Yep. Couple months.
And it was right. It was not a left field. It was completely out of the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest. I mean, I've thought of him quite often the last days, and it seems like everybody that contacts me, emails me, or texts me, they want my opinion on it. And I just say, hey, I have no opinion. I don't have any words for it. I texted his wife and conversed with her, and I said, there's nothing I can say that is going to help you through this grieving process, other than the fact that you have to know that there's millions of fans that loved him, and there's lots of the guys that loved him, and he's one of the very few that, Nikolai Volkov and a few guys that have died that have, Barry and I've talked about, we just couldn't understand. Guys you think that are going to die for one reason or another.
Right.
But, and Barry knew Joe a lot longer than I did, but I mean, we were traveling up and down the road to all these conventions and stuff, good friends, and just sad, man, it's just sad.
Yeah, it's, and I broke in the business with him and Hawk, and, it just, I got the text the morning after. Joe Rogers texted me, and he said, "Yeah, is it true that Animal died?" And it was probably about 6 in the morning. And I thought to myself, well, the only animal I know that would have died was George the Animal Steel. George the Animal Steel died.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, Road Warrior Animal." I thought, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
I was just with him not too long ago. We did a TV show together, and he looked fantastic. So that was just like, oh my gosh, any of us could die at any time. Terrible. Yeah. What a great guy. Nice guy.
Why are you going to be on the road and get screwed up and spend your money when you're away from your family? And we loved our family. We still love our families. We're providing for our families. And I don't want to spend money on drugs and booze and everything else when I can go home and sit down in our homes and say, hey, this is what I'm working for. My daughters, my wife, same for him, his wife, his son. It was a job. A lot of guys got into it, and there's a carnival circus aspect to it.
Sure.
And they think that it's going to last forever. It doesn't last forever in football, it doesn't last forever in basketball. Baseball's a little bit longer.
Yeah, but you're human beings too, right? The temptation's got to be strong. I mean, the women, the drugs.
What saved me was, I'm younger than what Bill was, and when I got into the WWF, I was one of the youngest guys in the territory. So all my friends, I hung around with. We drank beer, we everything. But when I got together with Bill, it was like, he wasn't into that scene. And when you're up there and you're wrestling 300 days a year,
350.
350. I mean, it was brutal.
There you go.
But he was a great influence for me.
Not one person ever said, hey, come on, do it.
Okay.
We didn't do it.
Didn't do it.
And I don't know whether it was respect or
Not even Andre? Have a
Well,
drink. How do you tell Andre, no, I'm not having a drink?
To be honest, Bill,
Well, no, we would drink.
Okay, okay.
But actually, we
beer.
wouldn't get out of hand drinking either.
No,
Okay.
it was a
You know,
job.
Right.
You know, we slept good. We stayed in good hotels all the time. Our product was us.
right.
So you got to take care of your product. You don't have a good product, you can't sell it. You can't sell it, you can't make money. We slept good, always stayed in the Marriotts or top shelf hotels. We ate good, had good meals. We traveled good in the vehicles. We always had the Lincolns or Cadillacs. You got to be comfortable. And we worked out.
Every
Our
day.
product is us.
Yeah.
I can't go out and drink all night, not sleep, don't train, smoke, all this stuff. Pretty soon it's going to wear you down, which it did, these guys.
Right. Would we have had a Demolition if not for the Road Warriors? Were you guys created to combat the Road Warriors? I'd like to hear it for sure. I always hear these stories that Vince put Demolition together as to offset the Road Warriors.
We really don't know about that, but I
Okay.
think he probably in his mind.
Okay.
But we often say we didn't try to copy them.
Not at all.
I mean, there was Barbarian and Ward. There was painted
Right.
people before.
You were nothing like them in
Painted.
my mind.
You had all the
Right.
paint for years and years when I
Right.
first started years ago. So it just there's similarities. There's a lot of differences.
We worked a lot different than they did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, I never even heard of that.
Well,
the
this is
whole
the-
time.
This is
whole-
the BS we get to hear with fans, when they always say Road
Yeah.
Warriors, Demolition was just a Road Warrior. We hear
Well,
this crap.
that-
To me, it's crap,
That
but whatever.
appeared
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, what's funny is that the whole time wrestling, all the years I wrestled, I never even heard of that or even thought about it.
Yeah.
I talked
Okay.
to Mike and Joe all the time, and they never thought about it
Well,
either.
who would say it to you guys? By the way!
You know, but then way after somebody put it on the internet, they're copycats of it, and then pretty soon that catches on.
Yeah.
And every idiot fan, starts saying stuff like that, and we just
Please.
say, yeah, that's what you think.
Well,
you
look,
think.
you're just in Queens, right? The line was around the block. So
Yeah.
you guys built your own niche.
please.
I will tell you,
The best.
as fans, right?
The
Older
best.
fans, we grew up. We were WWE guys. Right?
Yeah, we were.
You're originally from the South, and you started in the Mid-South and the Florida chain or whatever. But so there was that war. So when you guys came in, it was like, not that we thought you were a ripoff of them. It was like, here's our team.
Yeah.
This is our team.
That's right.
This is not our
That's
Road Warriors.
right.
This is our team.
That's right.
And then vice versa, when they finally did come in, a lot of people said that they were trying to copy us.
You came to the WWF as Mass Superstar at some point, and you started a feud with Bob Backlund.
Right.
Backlund, as we know, lost the belt to the Iron Sheik, but from what we read, was at any point you were supposed to be the transitional champion?
It was in the conversation, but my understanding was that for some reason Backlund didn't want to lose to a guy that had no amateur background for one reason or the other. So that's how it transpired. So
How did that make you feel when you heard that?
I don't give a damn. I was making money anyway.
As long as I'm making money, right?
Yeah.
Bill, you were there for the transition between Vince Sr. and Jr. Can you share with us the differences between father and son? How are they as people? What's their differences?
Well, they were both businessmen. Junior's a little more forceful.
Forceful. Okay.
Senior had developed a lot of relationships with other promoters and had friendships with those promoters. And he was considered to be, by the wrestlers, a man of his word. You knew when you were coming in day one. You knew what you were going to make. You knew when you were leaving, day whatever it is, X. And generally you were going to come back in on day whatever.
And it was nice back then because all the different territories.
Yeah, and you would go out, and there was no animosity between Senior and the Crockett's, Senior and Bill Watts, Senior and Eddie Graham, Senior and whoever. And that changed when Junior took over. He became a little more aggressive in his relationships, but he was successful. You know, he did it one way, his dad did it the other way. His dad was successful at that time. So I don't take anything personal. It's business. You got a shelf life, whether it's whatever product it is. That product's going to have to change. Sometimes he tinkers with things a little too quickly. Could have held and extended the shelf life a little bit, not only for us, but a lot of the talent.
But you said you can hold Senior to his word. Could you say the same thing about Junior?
Well, we probably had some differences of opinions, right?
Yeah, but
Did he make you promises and then break them, or?
I don't think so.
It maybe stretched them a little bit. Not, he wouldn't break them.
Define stretched.
Well, there were situations that I was approached with towards the latter part of my career that the level was here, and then as it got closer, it got closer, it got closer, it got closer. It wasn't acceptable, so I just decided not to take the decision.
When I was the repo man, it was going to be where I was going to become a baby face because I wanted to end my career at that time, and I wanted to just do autograph deals, go to hospitals, and do all that stuff. So as I was, that's when I was doing that, he said, we're going to end up ending you up as a baby face. Well, it was time for me to turn baby face, and I went to him, I said, Vince, when are you going to turn baby face? He says, you're never going to be a baby face, it's not going to happen. That's when I put my notice in.
And after I left there, I was in literally, I could pick up the phone and call Inoki and the office, and if left on Friday, I could be booked the next Monday in Japan. And that happened.
Right.
So that was over years of building rapport with them. And I just decided I wasn't comfortable there. And sometimes you have to say no. And there's a story in the wrestling business. You got the point. Everybody has a point where I don't feel comfortable doing that, and I'm going to say no.
Right.
And you're making good living, and you say no, and you say okay, and then the promoter, vendor, whoever it is, says okay, I accept that. And you get up and you part your ways, and as you're walking towards the door, you say, I hope he says come on back. 9 times out of 10, there's come on back, we can work something out. But if he doesn't, you have to go out the door and start new.
See, and I always knew, and I know you knew, that there's life after wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I can get another job making good money or do whatever I had to do. So to me, I mean, it was the greatest time of my life, everything, but it wasn't something that when you were done with it, it was going to kill you. You know what I mean?
And who would have thunk it? I mean, all these years after we left, we're still doing appearances and signings, and thanks to the fans. There again, if it wasn't for the fans wanting to see us, nobody would use us.
Love the fans. It was kind of bad when we were bad guys. We couldn't talk to the fans or anything.
Yeah.
You were living the gimmick, huh?
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. That's
and
awesome.
we really wanted to, but you couldn't.
Well, you were instructed not to at that
point.
Right. How'd you feel when kayfabe took a hit?
To me,
Pissed you guys off or what?
See, that was brutal because you were already up there, but when I came from, Crockett's territory, the babyface came out of one dressing room, the heels in another, and you couldn't talk at all. You'd have to stop at rest areas and yell through the window kind of what you were going to do. I mean, that's how serious it was. Right. And then I left, and the first day I come up, and all the guys are in a tent in the middle of the deal for TV, and you all walk out the same door. It was like
singing campfire songs.
Remember the Sheik and Duggan, right? That blew up in everybody.
Sheik and Duggan,
right? That's for sure.
That's right.
And they were working a program.
That's right.
Well, they lost their careers over.
He wasn't mad about the coke. He was mad that they were in the same car together.
Yeah, Ole was gruff, still is.
Okay.
But the thing about Ole, if he saw that you could make money for the company, and you would work hard, everything that he promised me, everything that he said I was going to get, I got.
Yeah.
Stan Hansen, the same. We never were promised anything that wasn't fulfilled.
He delivered.
Yeah.
He did.
Okay.
And
bottom line.
he had a good
He was a
mind
boss.
good mind for the business. He had good mind for And he was probably one of the guys that, of anybody in the territory, would sacrifice his career or name or position, would be him. He wouldn't put another top guy, you know, if you're working with this guy and he's going to be horrible, he would substitute and he'd work with that guy. Throughout our career, thousands, not hundreds, not tens, thousands of guys have come, hey, would you watch my match? And after a number of years, I said, I'll watch your match on the basis that you want to hear what I have to say. Not, you did this good, you did that good, you did this good. If you want to hear the true story, I'll watch your match and tell you.
Fair.
If you just want me to tell you how good you are, you don't need me.
Right.
And that's what Ole was. You know, when we'd leave the ring and go back through the curtain, we knew if we had a good match, we knew if we had a so-so match, and we knew if we had a stinker match. We don't have to have somebody else say, oh, that was great, that was terrific.
Right. How did you feel when they came to you about doing Demolition?
Well, I knew it was going to be a good gimmick. And I wanted to try it. I also knew in the back pocket that if it didn't work, I can go to the phone and go back to Japan.
And you could always be Mass Superstar.
And I could always be Mass Superstar down south. My like there again, my relationship with Ole was, he said, go ahead, do whatever you want, and you always got a home here, which is nice, because you made money in Atlanta. I bought my home in Atlanta. I still live there, and you could make a heck of a good living and never leave Atlanta. Maybe venture over to Watts for a little bit. Maybe go up to Charlotte for a little bit. Japan. Ole would, if I had a standing contract, 12 to 14 weeks in Japan. I'd call, they'd send me the contract, pick the months you want to go. January, 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah.
Did you ever think, like, when you were playing acts, like, hey, I could also be Mass Superstar and I could get double the pay, so Vince, can I be Mass Superstar too?
No. Even when we do appearances, we have a lot of vendors that ask, and the same thing with Barry.
Guys got to switch her up.
Would you do acts and Superstar? Would you do Repo Man and Smash? No. I don't want to insult the fans. They know who we are.
Right.
But I'm not going to. It looks like you're grabbing money.
How about Mass Superstar versus Axe? Did you ever try to do that?
Well, that son of a gun owes me money.
Your friend of mine, Andrew Yang, is pushing for wrestler benefits. Look, I know both of you were part of the class action suit against the WWE.
Right.
Sure.
Where do you guys weigh in on the wrestler not being the independent contractor and should have benefits?
We never liked it when we were there, but the way the organization was set up,
Nature of the beast.
you know, that's it. If you want to work there, that's what you got to do. But it may come to the point where they're going to have to change their operation system.
Will it be because of government intervention? Because I still feel that's the only thing
Well,
that's going to change this.
Yeah, I mean, and that might not be a bad thing.
Can you see that happening? Because to me, there's no other alternative.
Well,
Vince is not going to change.
every time there was a hint years ago of a wrestlers union, they've got NFL union, baseball union, basketball union, golfers union, you name it. Why can't the wrestlers? But the thing that killed it was the powers that be put pressure on certain guys and threatened them with their job. But if all the guys stick together,
I got headaches all the time. I don't sleep at night. Last night I got 3 hours. Night before, 2.5, 3 hours. I'm falling asleep in the car on the way here. I feel like crap in my head.
memory.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't remember a lot of stuff, but that lawsuit, what that has done, is that has helped out all these new guys right now, because
They're
right
getting
now
to.
they're not getting hit on the head with the chairs, and they're not going through all
Sure.
that stuff.
Sure.
So if anything comes out of all of that, we've helped these people right now, which is fantastic.
That is the
And-
first time that's
that is
ever been
an-
spun
that's
that
an
way.
excellent
and that,
point.
That
But
is an
that's
And a
excellent
big
is an
thing
excellent-
too,
It's
guys.
the truth.
You guys know, and the fans know, it's a brutal business,
Sure.
right? And
Yep.
we chose to be in the business. That's
Sure.
fine.
We
'cause
say
we're
that
getting
often, yeah.
paid. But can't they help out with a little bit of health care?
Hypothetically, knowing what you guys both know now, if you could somehow suddenly be back in your prime and champions right now today, what would you do to change what you've experienced? Would you take the belts and walk into the office and go, you know what? No, this has got to change. It's got to change now. These are the things that got to change. Would you give it the fight that you clearly have done later on?
Well, the
in life?
atmosphere in that particular company hasn't changed any.
So it's the same.
So there's one individual that makes all the decisions. You could get
Linda?
10, you
Just
could
kidding.
get 10 or 15 people.
Had to.
You could get 10 or 15 people on any number of committee that presents and prepares and ready to go. And 2 minutes before the event takes place, it's all scrapped because of one individual. So you'd have to. There's again, you're going to have to be willing to say no and walk out the door.
And walk out the
now,
door.
depends on your position,
Right.
the status on the card. If they're going to let you walk out the door,
Right.
which they may, or say, no, we're going to work this out. And there'll be some changes made. But I don't see anybody in either group, really, the two major groups, that are willing to take that step.
They wouldn't pull it in AEW either. Then they wouldn't try to unionize.
But you know,
either way, doesn't matter if it's Vince or AEW. They wouldn't attempt a union.
But you know, and
I don't
the
think
other
so.
thing what a lot of people don't know about when you pick somebody up and slam them, you know, your brain is going like this. And how many times does that happen? You know, and when you're in the business and on the road that many days and working double shots on weekends and all, you don't even realize.
Over years.
Yeah, you don't even realize what's happening to you.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why a lot of the guys have died is they're injured. They take painkillers. Pretty soon they can't sleep, so then they take sleeping pills. Now the pain's too much, so they take more pain pills. Then they take more sleeping pills. And now, usually when you do that for a cycle of, you know, 5 days or 6 days. The doctors will give them to you. These guys are on them for years, 2, 3, 4 years.
You know, and when I first,
all of a sudden, one day, your heart just says, you know what? I'm not hurting no more. I'm just not waking up. Say, hey, you guys are doing a heck of a job too.
Thanks.
What a great, hey, no matter what they say.
What a great show.
Let them talk. Okay, so what's down the road for Demolition at this point? What do you guys hope
That's
to
not
do?
the final question.
Why? What? You
All right,
have
I'll ask
one?
the final question.
Where's the final question?
Right here.
Next to final question,
there.
then.
Oh, what? It says here I'm supposed to say to you, wrestling nerd here since, not 1999, since like 1979.
No. 1999.
Okay, I'll just read it the way he wants me to. Wrestling nerd here, 1999, Royal Rumble. You both battle. Who came up with that? Was that
Neither one
nerdy
of us.
enough? You?
Who came up with that?
Dork.
One of the greatest moments of wrestling.
It wasn't
ever.
1999.
Literally drew the numbers out of a hat.
Really?
Yeah.
They what?
Yeah.
And it just happened to be
And
you
it's
two?
and it's never going
How
to be.
it's-
It's never ever going to be able to do it again.
We didn't even know it.
That was so
They'll never be able to do it again because people will say, "Oh, that happened years ago,"
Right.
and we get that.
1989.
We get that all the time.
First thing I thought, what the heck am I going to do with him in the ring?
What did you think?
Right, that's yeah.
Do I go? Do I
What
go
did you think
shake?
with the reaction?
Do I go shake hands with him and
Yeah.
go, "Hey, Axe, this is great,"
And I think that
or do
the-
I punch the crap out of him and have him do it back?